Welcome back to the third video in the NYSCJA Safety Judges Certification course. In this module, we will review the NFHS violations. The focus of this module is NFHS rule clarifications. However, this module will be different from the other safety modules. Part of this module is a video, and the other part requires you to review safety videos on the NYSCJA website and other resources. Finally, throughout the season, you will be required to continue your safety education by checking the website and resources for new clarifications and safety updates. There will be no formal assessment for this module, however, you will complete questions on a form simply to verify that you completed all sets within this module. First, let's take a look at some NFHS clarifications within this video, then I'll explain how to complete the other parts of this module. Before we look at specific rules, I want to mention a New York State policy for violations. Choreographed errors for a specific rule can only be given once in a performance. Performance errors, however, can be given multiple times for the same violation within a performance. An example of a choreographed error would be an illegal stunt that is used multiple times in a routine. The team should only receive one 5-point deduction for those stunts. However, if the violations are for different rules, each violation should be cited once. So if a team violates 332 multiple times in a routine and 352 multiple times in a routine, the team would receive two 5-point deductions for a total of 10 points. For an example of performance errors, let's look at a video example. In this video example, the middle and left of middle group back spots lose contact with the flyer on the transition to a horizontal position. Rule 334A requires that they maintain contact in this transition. This is a performance error because it's not choreographed and would therefore incur 2 infractions for a total of 10 points. Next, let's discuss Rule 215, which involves the performance surface and discarding props. Glasses and other objects that fall into the mat during the performance do not count as a violation. If a participant has a cell phone in their uniform, there is no rule to support a violation, whether it falls on the floor or not. You can give warnings about inappropriate objects brought into the performance surface and can be cited for general safety. Stepping on palms or signs during a routine is a violation. Only palms and signs are directly addressed by NFHS. Discarding signs should be in a downward direction to be legal. The intention from the athlete needs to be that the object leaves their hands in a downward direction. Therefore, if you only saw what happened to the sign and did not see the athlete's intention, you should not be giving this violation. While palms are not considered hard objects, there is a safety concern of another athlete or spectator getting hit in the head with a palm, as they do contain hard handles. Therefore, discarding in a downward direction is not the only element that should be taken into account when determining if a violation has occurred with discarding palms. You should also consider where the palm was thrown to and if the palm hit another person or came close to hitting another person. If a palm is not discarded in a downward direction, but it did not pose a risk to anyone on the performance surface, then a violation did not occur. Pay attention to the athlete holding the S sign. Although the last sign flew far to the side, the intention of the athlete was pushing it off in a downward direction, so this is not a violation. Rule 221B involves inappropriate dance. Please note that this is completely subjective. Therefore, in order to call this, the dance tumbling judges and the safety PDJ judges must agree that a team's dance was inappropriate to call this violation. If all involved do not agree, please only note a warning should be given. Next, I wanted to make you aware of a new trend in jewelry called the daith piercing. This is actually a medical piercing for chronic migraines. NYSPHSAA has a process in place to approve medical jewelry. This process starts with their athletic director. If approved, they should be able to provide the judge with written approval before the competition, so you are aware of their medical approval to wear the daith piercing. Rule 313 involves hair. Hair must be secured and out of the face or eyes. Please note that short hair with long bangs, the bangs have to be pinned back and secure out of the vision of the participant. Half up hair is appropriate for shorter than shoulder length hair. So how do you know if hair is a violation? If you have to move your head to move it away from your face, if you use your hand to move it away from your face, and if you need to tuck it behind your ears during your performance. But having said that, please use your best judgment. Do not be punitive with this rule. Hair must truly be a safety issue in stunts and tumbling to qualify for a violation. It's important to note that a tumbling participant or flyer may pop their head up or back while coming out of a tumbling pass or inverted stunt to get their hair that is in a ponytail out of their face. Please note that this would not be a violation. Beads or anything woven into the hair is a violation. For more examples, see the NYSCJA safety webpage for photos. Another note on Rule 313 involves bows. If a bow is so loose that it flops into the participant's vision, that is a violation. A bow falling on the floor or being stepped on is not considered a violation, and soft headbands are also not a violation. The intent of this rule is the obscured vision of a participant being unsafe, not the accessory falling on the floor. Rule 314 involves shoes. Shoes that fall off must be quickly put back on to avoid this violation. Please note that untied shoelaces are not a violation. There's no rule in the book that supports this, but again, you can give a general participant safety warning. Rule 316 involves apparel covering your midriff. This should only be called when a team has actual midriff uniforms or when a participant intentionally changes their uniform so their midriff is intentionally showing for the routine. It should not be cited when a midriff shows during the course of a performance because of the movement of a participant. Remember, participants do not have control over the uniforms they are given to use by their school. Therefore, the team should not be punished for a uniform that does not fit properly or rides up during the performance. Let's see a video example. These uniforms were not meant to have the midriff show. They don't fit some of the participants properly, which is not their fault, so this is not a violation. Rule 323 involves bracers that should not provide primary support. Please note that primary support is defined as bearing the majority of a top person's weight. This does not occur unless the bracer has the feet of the flyer in their hands and becomes a base, taking on more weight than the actual bases, or has so much of the upper body that they are literally lifting the weight of the flyer away from the bases. Supporting a flyer's upper body to keep them from falling does not fall under primary support. The bases still have the majority of the flyer's weight. Let's take a look at some video examples. While the bracer is helping to keep the flyer upright, she is in no way holding the majority of the flyer's weight, so this is not a violation. Again, while the bracer is helping to stabilize the flyer so the stunt doesn't fall, in no way does she bear the majority of the flyer's weight, so this is not a violation. Rule 325B involves inattentive spotters. This rule requires spotters maintain visual focus on the head, neck, and shoulders of the top person, except when it's necessary to briefly check other stunts or personnel. Spotters do not have to have their hands up to be spotting, just in a proper location to minimize risk. Let's take a look at a video example. Watch the spotter for the one man in the center back. Note that the spotter stops spotting, turns around to pick up a sign during a one-man extended. This is considered a violation for an inattentive spotter. Also note, it doesn't matter whether this stunt was extended or not, a spotter is required for any one-man stunt, shoulder height or higher. This brings us to Rule 328. A spotter is required for single base stunts. We will talk a little bit more about this rule in video 4 as it has had a rule change this year, but it's important to understand when a stunt is single base versus double based. So hand placement is the key to understanding whether something is single-based or double-based. If a spotter is holding the feet of the flyer in their hands, it's now a double-based stunt, not a one-man. This is important if they now go up to an extended position, they must have a third person as a separate spotter. You can see in the picture in the left that the person on the left has her hands on the feet of the flyer, making this a double-based stunt, not single-based. So no spotter is required at this level. Rule 331 involves inverted flyers. The inverted position occurs when a flyer's hips are above the shoulders at a 45-degree angle or greater, meaning the shoulders must be completely below the waist or hips, not level. This rule is very typically cited involving inverted bracers. If the bracer is bending at the knees, it makes it almost impossible to drop your shoulders below your waist or hips without falling. This happens so quickly that most judges are not able to assess this violation correctly without video review. In this video, the bracing flyer bends only slightly at her legs. She comes close to being inverted, but her entire shoulder does not go below her waist, so this is not a violation. You could give a warning to bend more at the legs. This is a true example of 331 violation with an inverted bracer. She drops so low because the flyer doesn't let go, and then she becomes inverted. Even though she bends at the knees, as expected, when this inversion truly happens, the flyer falls forward. I'd like to clarify some common misunderstandings. Let's start with bracer versus a post. A bracer is a flyer connected to another flyer. A post is a flyer connected to a participant on the ground. The pictures here are all examples of bracers because they show flyers connected to another flyer. This picture is an example of a post because the flyer is connected to a person on the performance surface. Next, let's talk about release versus non-release. A release occurs when the flyer loses contact with all participants on the performance surface. A braced release involves a flyer that stays in contact with another flyer but loses all contact with everyone on the performance surface. Let's take a look at a video example. This is an example of a non-release skill. Notice that the back spot grabs the flyer's foot before the switch occurs. This is a legal skill, but it's not a release skill. Next, let's discuss flips versus rolls. Both of these will involve the flyer performing hip over head rotation. You can see multiple examples of braced flips, suspended rolls, and braced rolls on the NYSCJA safety webpage. A flip is a release skill. It requires 12 participants to perform. It must have hand-arm to hand-arm connection on each side of the flyer with a bracer. Each bracer must be in a double-based prep with a spotter. A roll, on the other hand, has a flyer maintaining contact with a person on the performance surface. Suspended rolls are going to fall under the rules of 336. If a bracer is connected to a flyer on one side, it's considered a braced roll, which falls under rules for 334. Let's take a look at some video examples. This is a braced flip to new catchers. This is a legal execution of this skill as it has bracers on either side of the flyer, each with a back spot, and the new catchers are not involved with any other skill when the flip is initiated. Here is another example of a braced flip. While they have at least 12 people involved in all the right places, they fail to have the flyer maintain hand-arm to hand-arm contact with each of the bracers, making this an illegal flip. If the flyer has hand-to-hand contact with each of the bracers, it would make this legal. Here is an example of a braced roll. You can see the hand-to-hand contact with each of the flyers doing hip over head rotation with someone on the ground. They should maintain this contact until the flyer is no longer inverted. Let's talk a bit about release skills. Unbraced releases can involve tosses, which have to end in a cradle, switch-ups, which begin with one foot in a load, releases that start at prep level before the release occurs, and those can release to any level, but the flyer must remain vertical, and a cradle or horizontal position at prep level can release to a load or stunt prep level or below. There's many examples of release skills on the NYSPHSAA website. Let's take a look at a couple examples. Here is an example of a variation switch-up. Please note the level at which the release occurs does not matter. What matters is the flyer started with one foot in a load. Here's an example of 335B1 exception. Before the release occurs, the flyer is brought to prep level so she can land at any level after the release. In this case, she ends at extended level. In this example, note that this skill is considered a release skill, not a dismount, because it does not meet the definition of a cradle. In a cradle, the flyer must be in a pike position. By holding their leg in the air, the flyers are not in a pike position. Therefore, this is an illegal release, 351, because it does not start at prep level before the release occurs. Also, the flyer does not remain vertical for the release. This is also an illegal release as the flyer starts below prep level before the release occurs. The flyer must start at prep level before the release takes place to be legal. Now let's discuss how to complete the remaining parts of this module. Please go to the NYSCJA website, www.leaguelineup.com/NYSCJA, to review all safety videos and their explanations on the Safety Education Videos tab and on the NYSCJA Judges and NYSPHSAA Committee Only tab. And finally, it's important to continue your safety education throughout the year. Throughout the year, it's important to update yourself to continue your safety education. Get in the habit in the season of checking the NYSCJA safety page for updates and announcements, including NFHS rulebook corrections. Also, check the NYSCJA Judges and NYSPHSAA Committee Only page for updated video rulings from across the state. Finally, throughout the year, please take the time to review www.cheerrules.org and the Georgia State Cheerleading Video Ruling site. Be sure you're looking at NFHS legal and illegal videos on cheerrules.org. After you've completed all elements in this module, click the link directly below this video and take the Module 3 assessment. As I stated earlier, this is just a set of questions for you to verify that you completed all elements in this module. In the final module, we will review the NFHS rule changes.